Larson.
Present.
And Highway Commissioner John Robinson.
Present.
Carmen is not here today.
Yourself.
And myself.
All right, we'll establish. And were there any public comments?
Yes, there are three.
Alan Phillips.
That's just me. Excuse me. As I lose my voice, perfect time. I'm here from Will County to address item 8 on the agenda regarding the merging of transportation services. I can address that later on.
Okay, we'll call you when it's right then. Okay, and then Joanne Malani.
I'm from Founders Crossing, and I wanted to know, is there a reason that we have our meetings here and not where we used to have them on 151st in the building, our building over there? And
There is actually, yeah, the reason we have our meetings here, and I'll answer that, we normally don't answer for public comment, but it's because this is the official, really, what was designed for having meetings, and it has more space than our location on 151st Street.
okay, I have one more question, please. We have fall maintenance and spring maintenance in our apartments over there, and I was wondering what that entails, because I don't think it happened.
Okay.
I'm home all the time, and I can tell you, I don't think it happened. They replaced the furnace filters, that's all I know.
Okay, we'll address
That's not
that.
how it used to be. I've been there for 7 years, it's not how it used to be.
Okay, and then Angie, Drive.
We received a letter about the maintenance. This just slides right in. And one of the last sentence on the paragraph, first paragraph was, if there was any repairs needed, please reach the office so that the guys could be made aware of it. When they came to do the maintenance, well, I had called the office immediately upon receiving the letter and spoke with Cynthia, and I had a couple of things that I needed, and I just happened to be home when the guys came to do the maintenance. And I said, okay, so where's the stove filter? Because every time I went to go cook on my stove, the smoke detectors went off. And I finally realized that the filter and the hood over the stove was so filthy dirty, I tried cleaning it myself and I couldn't do anything. And then I also asked if he was going to also clean out the vent for the dryer that leads up to the roof. And he looked at me and said, I don't know what you're talking about. And I said, I left word, you were supposed to put that on, you were supposed to put that on the list to take care of. And he did do both because I happened to be home to ask him about it. So all I'm saying is, if it's in the letter to please call the office, I don't understand why they don't pass it on to the guys.
I'll address that in my report. All right. Moving on. Approval of minutes for October 6, 2025.
I'll make the motion to approve the minutes from October 6, 2025. I will second.
Trustee Gray and Trustee Melody. Yes. Any discussion? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. Okay, reports from town officials. No, okay. All right, and we'll start with Trustee Melody.
I did not have anything, sir.
Okay. Trustee Gray?
Just wanted to mention that we had our first Veterans Committee meeting this past Wednesday. I'm sorry, Wednesday of last week. And it went really well. There were 5 of us in attendance with a couple other people that are now joining our group. And it was a great meeting. We set some guidelines on what we want to accomplish, we talked about like how we're going to identify all the veterans in our community, how we're going to reach out to them, how they might want to be reached out to. We have 3 or more veterans on our committee, so it's great to have input from people who have served and are, retired veterans as well. So we had a really good conversation. We want to concentrate on the issues and services and programs that are important to the vets, and we're really looking forward to the work we're going to do. So I just wanted to mention that, and just wanted to say Happy Thanksgiving to the community. So,
Thank you.
I'm up.
Thank you, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll go with Trustee Severs.
Okay, I do have a short report. First of all, I wanted to recognize some of the amazing LTHS quarter successes over the past month. Katie Peets represented Lockport cross country at states, not this past weekend, but the weekend prior. I also wish her in particular a great season as the Porter basketball team gets underway tonight.
I want to thank everyone who's bringing food and putting stuff in there to help, the less fortunate that may need some help. The only thing is we do ask for perishable. Some people have been putting bread and lettuce and things like that, and a lot of times by the time I go over there and check, it's already expired, and we unfortunately have to throw it out. So, but thank you to everyone that's helping out. It's wonderful that our community's coming together and making donations and keeping that pantry full. So thank you again, everyone, for coming out and helping us with that. And that's all I have.
Let's see, we had our first senior committee meeting a couple of weeks ago. We have our next one this coming Wednesday at 6:30 at the Township building. And tonight we're going to vote on a new member, Tom Canning, to join our committee. We are working on the senior Christmas party. That's Tuesday, December 9th from 12 to 3 at Crystal Grant Banquets at 12416 South Archer Avenue. You can come into the Township and make your payment. It is $30 for non-resident and $20 for residents. And we do need a count and payment by November 26th. Also, we are working on some more events for 2026. We'll let you know everything coming up in the next year. I also was at the Veterans Committee meeting, which I am very proud to serve on also. And thank you to all the veterans. And yes, the conference was very good. We took away a lot of knowledge, and we actually went to the Abraham Lincoln Museum, which I've never been to, and it was amazing, really amazing. So, but that's it.
Okay, and Highway Commissioner Robinson.
Hi. So we had our first snow event this year. It got pretty much gone by like 10 o'clock in the morning, but we did get out there. We did salt the roads. We had a couple spots that we didn't get to right away. As we have three snowplow trucks, and 2 of them were in service for service that week, because during the week nobody was talking about the snow, and later in the week they were talking about the snow, but not for Will County. And then Saturday afternoon-ish is when they started talking about the snow for Will County, and I was on the phone with Dave saying, "Are we going to be okay?" And he's like, "Yeah, we'll be okay." So luckily we got that instead of that, but we're also kind of transitioning things now to getting ready for the winter. We finished up a lot of our summer projects, summer and fall projects, and that's where we're at.
Okay, and Collector Palermo. Okay, and now for mine. On October 19th, I went to Hampton Township Open Space with a member of the Open Space Civic Center Committee, Margaret Sabo, and my staff member, Cynthia Rattay, and the soon-to-be Open Space Committee member, Heather Hall. And it was quite an experience to see their open space program and all the property that they had. And it's pretty impressive. They have 17,000 residents, and yet they have 1,600 acres of open space, and how they've funded that through various referendums. But more importantly, we learned about their open space foundation that they use to raise funds. to manage their open space program. And I think it was very inspiring for us. And we're looking forward to talking to them more about getting some ideas and how we can get grants to manage our programs. I also went to general assistance training in Rockford and again in Springfield at the conference there. And going to the conference and other township events, it's really kind of interesting to see how there's such a variety among townships. Populations vary, what services they provide, but it's all good learning experience. I took budgeting sessions and bidding and purchasing processing law sessions, and it was pretty good. Also, Ken, you mentioned the micro pantry. This is the season that mice try and enter your homes, and there is no doubt that they're going to try and enter our little micro pantry. And I did see a tiny little hole in the door today that was chewed through, so we're going to try and fix that. But on that note, when you talk about items to stock in there, think about packaging. And we may get some like clear plastic bins to put in there to protect the items that are in there. Also, anything else I'll be reporting on as we make comments. So we could probably just go ahead and move on to the action items. Okay, approval of bills for payment. Okay, consider for approval payment of bills for 2025, certificate of deposit, equipment and building, Founders Crossing bond, Founders Crossing General, General Assistance, Open Space, Park, Road, Bridge, and Town.
I'll make a motion.
Marson, Trustee Marson,
I'll second.
and Trustee Severs. Okay, is there any discussion?
I just wanted to note, it looks like we did receive the $40,000 bonus from the cell tower. Do I see that deposit in?
Yes.
Fantastic.
Anything else? Okay, roll call.
Supervisor Spalen,
Aye.
Trustee Gray,
Aye.
Trustee Marson,
Aye.
Trustee Melody,
Aye.
and Trustee Severs.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Okay, next on the agenda is approval of resolution 2025-1117, Res 1, approving an IGA between Homer Township, its partnering entities, and Will County for the transfer of dial rights services. We've discussed this a little bit. I'm just trying to find the item. When we, at the previous meetings, when I worked at the village, one of the most common calls that we would get.
Sue, can we get a motion first?
Oh, I was just going to explain the next
Oh, okay.
motion. Sorry, before discussion. One of the most common calls we would get was regarding transportation and how seniors could get around. And we have a PACE system currently, and it's very limited to where people can go. And so we were looking at alternatives on what we could do. And I know the village considered purchasing a bus at one time, but that requires staffing, not just to drive the bus, but to manage the program. And as a township, we have limited means. We've considered partnering with other townships. And then Will County came up with this Access Will County program. And so what we're going to have tonight is before we begin, if I could have a motion, before we begin any discussion, to enter into an agreement.
I'll make the motion.
Okay, Trustee Severs.
Second.
Trustee Gray. Okay, and then discussion first, any questions? We have with us Colin Phillips, is the mobility manager for Will County. Do you have any questions?
I'd like to just note, maybe Colin can touch on this. This is going to be an improved service over what we're currently doing. Better coordinated, more robust, more.
Yeah, well, I may have a bias opinion as someone who's going to be managing this program, but yes, absolutely. So right now, Will County is home to several dial right services, and they often face limitations based on border boundaries for townships or cities. And so right now, Homer Township, of course, is part of the program called Central Rhode Island, and that provides transportation throughout the townships of Joliet, Homer, Jackson, Lockport, Troy, and Plainfield, which is great. It's larger than a lot of the other services. However, the registration process can be a little bit difficult, and it does prevent people from going to other locations within Will County, such as Bolingbrook or on the east side of Will County. So for the past 10 years or so, Will County has managed its own dial route program, largely based in eastern Will County. And over the past 2 years, we've continued to grow and expand that program, where we now represent 16 townships. Moving into 2026, our intention is to represent all of Will County, meaning every Will County resident who's age 60 and over or living with a disability would be able to register for this program and get transportation for any purpose to anywhere within Will County and parts of Southern Cook County. So this would be an expansion. We both use PACE as a transportation provider. PACE is very enthusiastic about this program because logistically it's going to free up a lot of resources. A common occurrence with some programs is a lot of trip denials because they can't schedule rides ahead of time in sufficient amount of time. By combining these services, PACE will no longer have to manage multiple services. They would be managing one larger service, which would mean not only greater access in terms of service area for your residents, but it would also mean they'd be able to schedule rides sooner with a much reduced likelihood of a trip being denied. The registration process as well would be much easier. Instead of having to go through the RT in Chicago to get disability verification, they can reach out directly through the township or reach out directly to my office, where we can typically handle registration that same day instead of normally what might be a week or 2 week period. So when I get calls from folks saying, I live in Homer Glen, I have a doctor's appointment the next day, I have to give them information about other programs that may not be able to serve them in time. Once we transition and consolidate the programs, moving forward, Homer Township residents will be able to get registered that same day. We'll be able to make those last minute appointments or even just the regular necessities of life, like going to the grocery store or visiting family members. But otherwise, yes, I would say this is a great improvement for folks.
And the service is still from PACE.
Absolutely.
So the service provider's not changed. It's just
Absolutely. It's
management
the same
organization.
structure, yeah.
Okay. And we have the Founders Crossing. We have a couple of residents from Founders Crossing here, which is our senior housing in the township, as well as we have Marion Village and we have Victorian Village. And some of those can probably be heavy users of your program. Would you be interested in like doing signups or registrations at those particular venues?
Yes, absolutely. So every time we've expanded our program over the past 2 years, I've often done events in the community where I come out to senior apartments, living centers, disability resource centers, to do on-person signups, but also just hand out brochures to the facilities so when their residents or clients do come by, they have my phone number, they can reach out to me directly so I can help them. One of the benefits of this transition is having a more direct liaison instead of having to have folks reach out to a call center, which may be honestly a little overwhelming or confusing, especially if they're not familiar with public transportation. They can reach out directly to me. Part of my role is to be a liaison for the public so they don't have to go through these extra hoops.
I know you don't answer questions, but when is this going to begin?
January 1st, right? It says
Yeah.
right, as long as it's approved by us and by the other boards that are involved, it's going to go into effect January 1st.
And how will we
It
be
is
notified?
part of the piece.
How will we be notified?
Well, that's one of my other questions. So part of the agreement that we're going to sign with this organization, it requires us to assist in signing up as many people as we can in our particular jurisdiction, all the townships that Colin just mentioned. So one of my questions was, either to Colin or to the rest of the board members is, how are we going to assist in that requirement on our end? So, do you have a program that you roll out that you just ask us to put on our website, put on our Facebook, put on our socials?
Yeah, to some degree that is certainly an element of it. Public engagement through social media. I know there's likely going to be some precedent involving my office where there's a statement and it's going to involve sending me out in the community, attending different things that we notify, trying to work with local providers, local apartments. In terms of staff assistance, that's really dependent upon the township's availability. We have some townships where they might send me 5 or 6 registrations in one day. There are other more rural townships where we expand to where they don't have the staff capacity for that, and so I might directly register the residents. I'm always more than happy to work with whatever's available, but generally it will be me going out in the community, it will be press releases from my office, and social media engagement from our offices.
We will be announcing it as well, between our website, our social media, and communication with our seniors.
What's going to be the cost to do we know that?
Well, Yes, I can answer those questions broadly speaking. So the cost of the individual, the rider, for example, would be, right now our fare structure is $2 for a one-way trip within the township, $2 for a one-way trip outside of the township. In terms of cost to Will County as a county has access to federal funding resources where it can be divided through the Will County directly, but also federal funding grants like the RTA and Age Guide, which is providing for seniors. But in terms of Homer Township, part of this agreement is a 5-year plan to step down Homer Township's financial responsibility for this program. So for 2026, financially, things would continue as they are. It would simply be shifting management responsibility onto my office. But over the next 5 years, every year, Homer Township would pay, and all the townships in Central Will Delaware would pay 20% less. So in 2027, Central Will Delaware's current partners would pay 80%, Will County would pay 20%. Next year, 60-40, 40-60, and continuing, so I believe it's 2031 when Will County would assume complete financial responsibility for the Central Will Delaware program. Now, the reason we have that arrangement and not just immediately switching it over is because Central Will Delaware is a very sizable program, particularly because it's in a more urban, suburban area compared to the existing Access Will County program. So instead of doing an immediate switchover, which would effectively double our size, double our budget, we've come up with a more manageable, fiscally responsible process where we solely take over the financial responsibility for the program. But long story short, in 5 years, Will County would be paying for it and managing it.
Okay, and then you said there's a $2 charge and $4.
That's it.
What would be considered, for example, a person in Homer Township? What would be considered anything in Homer Township would be $2?
Absolutely.
If they go outside, and I assume there's a limit how far they could.
Yes. So the $4 is a flat rate. So if they're just going over to whether it's to Lockport Township or over to Joliet or Bolingbrook or even out to Dyer and Munster, Indiana, which are also part of our service area, that's a flat $4 service rate.
Now, what if they, want to go to Chicago?
So I get calls from people who need to go to Chicago from day to day. For context, my role is half managing the operations on the Will County side, half just engaging with the public on a day-to-day basis. And I get a lot of calls from residents saying they want to go to Chicago. Now, as a local dial ride service that's still based in Will County, we don't provide transportation all the way to Chicago. However, because I work with PACE and the RTA frequently, I'm pretty familiar with other resources we can have access to get to Chicago. That might be ADA Paratransit, Americans with Disabilities Act Paratransit, where it's provided by PACE, just like our program, and certified by the RTA in Chicago. So that is a service that can get people to Chicago. Depending on where they live here, I may need to add another step to the process to get them there. But generally, I get calls from all over this area.
So if someone were to call you and they wanted to go that far, you would tell them that this option is not available, that we have to pursue some other options.
Well, you could get them to the train.
Yes, sometimes I have to find another option, but if someone's going to be part of our program and they want to go to Chicago, chances are I would tell them, okay, for you, it's going to be a 2-step process to get to Chicago. But generally, I can usually reach out to someone and find a solution.
Okay. And then, just real quick, is Will County on board with this? They signed off on it?
We have our Will County board vote on this coming up this Thursday, but this is something we've been planning for a long time now. We've been very open with our intentions, and broadly speaking, I won't speak on politics because thank God I'm just an employee. But my impression is that this has a lot of support because this is something that we've been pushing for a long time, at least my office. And I will say that Will County is the only county around Chicago that doesn't currently have a countywide transportation service.
Okay. So this would be dependent on a approval from Will County?
Yes, but I'm very expectant that this is going to pass.
Yeah, everybody, what's included in the packet, it shows all the community. It's not just us in Will County, it's Troy Township and...
But it doesn't Will County in general, you have to sign off?
Yes, but everybody that's included in this partnership has to sign off on it.
Right.
So anybody
Yes.
could throw a kink in it.
The Will County board will be voting on it this week, but from what I understand, we expect this to pass without issue.
And then there's also, I don't know if you saw this in the packet, it's just the map.
Yeah.
Okay, so, it does, I think before we couldn't go very far, but now somebody can go to downtown Joliet and go to court or whatever they have to do, go pay their taxes if they want to, whereas before they were limited to how far they could go. So,
I'm sorry, so I have one
Yeah.
more question. There's a maximum program cost is $325. would that be split between the 6 participating?
Yes, and that's strictly for the existing Central Will Valley partners. Those include the five townships, including Homer Township and the city of Joliet. We put in that cap after discussing with the local representatives. If the price of the trips assigned to the Central Will partners exceeds that, Will County would then take over. We tried to create a reasonable estimate of what we expect might be the cost. This reflects the maximum value or the maximum cost of the program on an annual basis from the past 3 to 5 years for your existing programs. That's consistent with the cost of the total program in previous years.
I guess another question would be the reports. We would be getting a report once a month on how much the ridership is, because we're going to be watching how much it's costing every month.
Absolutely. I don't know, am I allowed to hand things out?
Sure.
Here's the mock-up invoices. I'll just go through. So this is something I put together to try to create a. Does anyone else? Sorry. Basically, this is a mock-up invoice I made. The numbers on it are hypothetical estimates, but this is merely to demonstrate a contrast between the current system, or the system I intend to apply starting in 2026, versus what we've had for the past few years. So PACE on a monthly basis will send out invoices where they say, this is the total cost of operating expenses, this is the cost of their cost, this is how much we're charging your township specifically. What they didn't do, I think, a great job of is breaking down the ridership and explaining how those costs are calculated. What I'm trying to do here, and again, I want to emphasize these are just purely hypothetical numbers to show the math and the calculation behind it, to show how the ridership will be affecting the cost of the program. So if no one in Homer Township takes any rides for a month, Homer Township doesn't have any bill that month. And so this is something we'll be doing with all the townships, saying the amount you're paying is directly proportional to the ridership of your township. So we will be sending out the invoices that we receive from PACE like we've received in the past, in addition to invoices like this where you can double check the math PACE provides, double check the math I'm providing, and then likely on a quarterly basis I'll be sending out ridership reports with names removed, just to show this is how many trips are being taken, this is where there's a lot of travel. We generate emails that say people in Homer Township are often going to Silver Cross, or they're often going to dialysis and Plainfield, or something like that.
I just got 2 follow-ups. Just real quick, if in the event there was an accident with the transportation, is that covered by PACE, or is it covered by us, or Will County, or?
Well, it would absolutely not be covered by Homer Township. It would be covered by PACE. It's PACE. So PACE handles the operations of transportation. So they're responsible for scheduling the trips. They're responsible for providing transportation. They're responsible for the drivers. So all that goes through their own background checks that they're required to do. But they're responsible for any events with the vehicles. Will County's role, in terms of my position there, is to manage the accounting, verify what PACE is sending us, working with the public, and also just manage any federal grants we receive for the program.
And my last one, where is Jackson? I have no idea where Jackson is.
Jackson Township.
They are immediately south of Joliet Township. I will say that they have minimal ridership with a lower population density, but if this program expands, it's very possible that some of their residents could get more utility out of this program.
I have a couple questions for you. Has any of the townships indicated that they're not going to participate?
No, I've received overwhelmingly positive
And
feedback.
then what happens to the cost to Homer Township if another township enters the program but terminates early? Does that increase our township's cost at all?
No, I'm trying to think of a scenario where it could. I honestly don't think it would impact Homer Township whatsoever. Suppose, let's say Jackson Township says they don't want to be part of this program. The only impact that has is on Jackson Township residents. So it wouldn't cause Homer Township's prices to go up. It wouldn't cause Homer Township's ridership or anything else to go up necessarily.
So this 20% reduction per year isn't going to change no matter how many participants there are as long as Homer Township is in the program?
Yes, this would be applied to everything.
Gotcha. Thank you.
And I believe there's a 90-day window that they have to notify Homer Township if someone's going to depart from the rideshare program.
Oh, if the township wants to cancel the agreement? Yes, but we haven't experienced that in our 10 years plus of managing the program. Generally, I expect costs to go down for Homer Township over the years, but we would be having that provision there.
You know, I do see our ridership will go up, so our costs may go up, or are likely to go up for that first couple of years until you start taking, until Will County starts taking the higher percentage. But,
That's a good thing. I mean, ultimately, that's a good thing.
Yes,
Because we're
yeah.
providing more service, so.
people are
Right.
able to
Right.
use it, whereas
And
right
ultimately,
now.
the burden will go to the county anyhow, so it's a good thing, even if in the short period we do pay a little bit more, it will ultimately be a better service for the residents, and we will ultimately not pay anything. So,
And right now, it's well within our budget.
yeah,
So
absolutely.
I don't see us maxing out our budget for the fiscal year.
I agree.
We'll be able to see from January through March how we do, and we'll be able to budget accordingly.
Will we still get ridership reports even after the county assumes 100% responsibility for the payment of the, I mean, will we still know, like, Homer Township is still, having this many rides, or if things are starting to taper off? Because I gotta imagine that somewhere down the line, ridership would be the telltale about how good the service is or how well it's received.
Absolutely.
So if it's not, and I'm not casting any shadows on anything, but, if the ridership suddenly fell off, we'd want to know why, even though we're not paying for it anymore per se. We'd want to still be monitoring that, so.
No, absolutely. I still send quarterly, or in some cases biannual ridership reports to all of our townships who have been with us for 10 plus years. Just because they're involved in the program, they're really kind of the residents, and so particularly for townships where they are involved in registering their residents, and they might know the people signing up for the program, it's no issue for me. It's just playing around with Excel spreadsheets, and I'm happy to do that.
Is there a localized, like, where they have to pick up the pace, or does it come to the house? Sorry,
I'm so sorry. Can you say that one more time?
I can't, I'm not supposed to.
Can they pick up will Pace pick them up at their house, or is there a place that?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm so sorry. So, for those who are maybe unfamiliar, a dial ride is a curb-to-curb transportation service, typically geared towards older populations, age 60 and over, or those living with a disability. As a curb-to-curb program, it does come to your home. That doesn't mean you have to be picked up at your home if you're staying with, a friend, as long as they're within the service area, or you want to be picked up from a grocery store and taken to a doctor's appointment. You can do that, but they will come to your home. The only limitation is if they're using a paratransit vehicle, which is about half the size of a school bus. It does have wheelchair accessibility. For safety reasons, they won't back into a driveway, but they will stop on the curb, and if someone requires assistance to get to the vehicle, that can be requested. That's not an issue. If someone is maybe not in a wheelchair, but they're using a cane or a crutch, and they might find traveling up those 3 steps difficult, they can still use the wheelchair lift and hold the safety rail to ride up into it. Whatever can be done to make the program more accommodating and accessible is in line with the goal of this program.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Helen? Thank you, Helen. All right, so we have a motion.
I'll make a motion.
But before we get, I just want to ask the attorney something. So we have 2 parts kind of to this. We're going to, we have a resolution, and then there's the actual agreement itself.
I think the resolution,
Will authorize us to do the agreement. So that's all we, so the motion
I'll
is
give you
clear.
a fast resolution.
That's all we do? Okay. So, okay, so we have a motion, so now we can just take.
So Melody was first, and then who was second?
No, that's already
Oh,
done.
Stevens.
Stevens and Gray.
Okay. Okay, Supervisor Stimmons,
Aye.
Trustee Gray,
Aye.
Trustee Merson,
Aye.
Trustee Melody,
Aye.
and Trustee Severs.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, everyone.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I'm really excited about this personally. I think we do. Moving on, approval of appointment of Sherry Burnett, Tom Canning, Heather Hall, Richard Hall, Andrew Smigelski to the Open Space Civic Center Committee. And do I have a motion for that?
I'll make that motion. I'll second.
Gray and Melody. Okay, our Open Space Civic Center Committee is growing. But I'm very pleased to have these candidates want to join the committee. I think that they will really be an asset. I want to say thank you for coming tonight too.
Yeah.
So, does anyone else have any questions or discussion?
No.
Okay, you want to call the roll?
Okay, Supervisor Staley?
Aye.
Trustee Gray?
Aye.
Trustee Marson?
Aye.
Trustee Melody?
Aye.
And Trustee Severs?
Aye.
Yes.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And I believe our next meeting for the open space committee is December 1st. So if anyone wants to attend that.
You guys bring cookies?
That's like a newbie rule, you have to wear the staff. Wasn't on the contract.
Okay, next up, approval of appointment of Tom Canning to the senior committee.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
Melody and Marson. Okay, any discussion?
Okay, Supervisor Staley?
Aye.
Trustee Gray?
Aye.
Trustee Marson?
Aye.
Trustee Melody?
Aye.
And Trustee Severs?
Aye.
Okay.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you.
A lot of good things are going to start coming out of that senior committee.
Yep.
I just feel it. Okay. And the next item is approval of appointment of Ed Kirkland and Kevin Bears to the, was there another one? What's the other one?
No, just the two.
Okay, to the Veterans Committee.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Okay, Gray and Severs.
I'd just like to mention that somewhere on here, I know that Kevin Bear, his name was spelled differently. It has an S on it, and it does not have that, so I'm not sure where it's at. No.
Oh, it's on the agenda.
Oh, okay, maybe that was it, okay. So it looks like it's all spelled right here, so, and it is spelled that way, B-A-E-R. And the other thing I'd like to mention is this says current committee members. We have Ken Marson on there. And Ken, while he was at our first meeting and he's a great supporter, he was not approved yet as a member. So either can we amend this to add him, or can we just add him in the December agenda, whichever you prefer.
Well, we could motion to amend.
Sure.
So if I can have a motion to amend adding Kevin, or no.
Ken Marson.
To the committee,
Since I
sorry.
was the first on that, I'll amend my motion. I'll amend my first to include Ken Marson as a committee member.
Okay.
Severs?
I'll second.
Okay, so motion to amend by Gray and Severs.
Okay.
Okay. Right. This is a vote just for the amendment. And then we'll actually
Okay.
have a motion for the next one. So, okay, do roll call on the
Sure.
amendment.
Supervisor Staley?
Aye.
Trustee Gray?
Aye.
Trustee Marson?
Should I abstain since it's voting?
You can vote if you want to.
Aye.
Trustee Melody?
Aye.
And Trustee Severs?
Aye.
Okay. Motion carries. Okay, now this is a motion to approve the appointments of Ed Kirkland, Kevin Bear, and Ken Marson to the Veterans Committee.
Supervisor Staley?
Aye.
Trustee Gray?
Aye.
Trustee Marson?
Aye.
Trustee Melody?
Aye.
And Trustee Severs?
Aye.
Okay. Motion carries. All right, and for the next item is our meeting dates, and I have something to hand out. I'm sorry, guys. You could, four. You can go down that way. I probably did extra. What was in the packet, we made a change to. So rather than amend motion, can I just present this calendar?
Yes?
Okay. So in the packet, we provided a calendar of dates in the packet, but after reviewing and finding out the conference date for November for the conference that we just had in the township,
yeah.
that we're going to have the same situation again. So what I did is we just changed the calendar for November to accommodate that conference. And did we, in the veterans, I don't know if we have the
Yes, we
veterans.
moved the veterans to
And
the fourth.
we also moved the veterans from November 11th to November 4th. So those were the two changes from what was in the packet. So what I'm looking for now is a motion to approve the 2026 Township scheduled regular meeting dates that was presented tonight, based on this calendar.
I'll second.
Who's the first one?
Marson and Melody? Yes.
You're mentioning the only thing that's in tonight's packet is the township board meetings.
Right, they didn't, I don't think she even included the other ones in there. So,
But those are gonna have to come.
so what was in, there was a board meeting change from what was in the packet.
Right, so even though it's a veterans meeting, that we're not approving them.
Well, we're approving all the dates, yes.
But they're not in there.
No, but they're on this calendar now.
Oh, okay.
So this calendar is what we're,
Yeah, so the motion is to approve the calendar as presented tonight, not what was in the initial agenda.
yes.
Right.
So that includes all of our known meetings for 2026. And the meetings can come up during the year
Okay.
and be added, but this is what we should be publishing, not just board meetings, but our committee meetings as well. So, was that Marcel and Melody?
Yeah.
Okay. Any other discussion? Questions?
No.
Okay.
Okay, Supervisor Stalen?
Aye?
Trustee Gray?
Aye.
Trustee Merson?
Aye.
Trustee Melody?
Aye.
And Trustee Severs?
Aye.
Motion carries.
All right, moving on to approval of transfer of budget appropriation in the town fund. So before we begin any discussions, is there a motion to approve, oh wait, this is the line item transfer.
Yeah.
Okay, is there a motion to approve a line item transfer in the amount of $2,500 from 990 contingency from town budget, town fund, to 735 telephone from town budget, town fund? Actually, it's two, not from. It's moving to the telephone in the town fund.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
Okay, and then any discussion?
Okay.
Call for vote.
Supervisor Stalen?
Aye.
Trustee Gray?
Aye.
Trustee Merson?
Aye.
Trustee Melody?
Aye.
And Trustee Severs?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Okay, next item. Approval of transfer of budget appropriation, road and bridge budget, road and bridge fund. Consider a motion to approve a line item transfer in the amount of $9,000 from 716 legal from road and bridge budget, road and bridge fund, to 707 IMRF CO from road and bridge budget, road and bridge fund.
Yeah, that's what.
I know.
I'll make that motion.
Okay. Great.
I'll second.
Melody.
No?
Okay, any discussion?
Okay. Supervisor Stalen?
Aye?
Trustee Gray?
Aye.
Trustee Merson?
Aye.
Trustee Melody?
Aye.
And Trustee Severs?
Aye.
Okay. Motion carries.
Okay, and approval of resolution 2025-1117, Res 2 resolution declaring certain personal property to be surplus and authorizing disposal of surplus items. So that's what's included in the packet. I asked our maintenance people to look at our maintenance building over here and anywhere else. Basically, we're just trying to clean things up. And this is a list, and so what I'm asking for is approval to be able to try and move this up, following all laws guidelines, because there is a vehicle in there. The rest of them that would probably be singled out from other items. So if I could have a motion, then we can entertain discussion.
I'll make that motion.
Larson?
I'll second.
Okay.
Before we have discussion, can the attorney just weigh in on what is personal property before anybody, any of the residents think it's anybody's
It's
personal
anything that's
property?
not, it's anything that's not land. It's not real
It's
estate.
not real property, right? Real estate is real property, and personal, even though it's used the word personal, it belongs to the township.
Yes.
It's any property that the township owns, it's not land.
Or a building.
Right. So I think this is a pretty extensive list, and I've seen a lot of this equipment. It's in the building right next door and the one behind it, much of it is. And when we first came into office in May, we had an opportunity to go to a lot of the buildings and see stuff. And like I said, there's a building right next door. You guys have all probably seen that. What a lot of people don't see is that there's another building behind that building, and it's kind of like you access one through the other, and it became kind of a catch-all of a lot of stuff over time. And again, that is property that is all owned by all township residents. We can't just throw it out just because it's in the way or we think it's decrepit or anything. We do need to get permission from, we need to give permission to the supervisor. The supervisor would need to then pay attention to all the laws in order to facilitate getting rid of that in the best way and getting the best value for the township if there is value to be gotten there. So I applaud the effort because that room was, or that building I should say, was pretty stocked with a lot of past its prime stuff. So.
And we currently have some things stored even at the barn on Trantina. We have some things in there, and maybe we could just consolidate everything, organize it so it's all in one place.
Yeah.
And if we can sell it, and
All the better.
all the better, or work with another municipality that might need some of the items, we're happy to do that as well. And I did bring some photos, but sorry, I couldn't include them all in the packet. There's like numerous pages if anyone has a question on anything. Okay, well, I guess you can go over roll.
Supervisor Stone?
Aye.
Trustee Gray?
Aye.
Trustee Marson?
Aye.
Trustee Melody?
Aye.
And Trustee Severs?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Moving on, the next item is for consensus regarding the holiday display program. And this, I'm not seeking a motion or anything, it was just to get some guidance or have some discussion. We don't, there was a memo that was included in your packet, or I don't know if it's actually a memo, but it described that the holiday display program was in 2024. And I'm just looking for guidance because we're entering that time of year where people are going to want to put up displays in front of the township building, and we need to be consistent in whatever we do, if we do anything. We will be decorating the tree, and we'll be decorating our building with lights, and I don't know if we need anything more than that. So if anybody has thoughts, in the past there was a manger donated, and then there were other groups that wanted to put things in front. I think there were some difficulties with consistency, and it gets kind of confusing to try and accommodate everybody's needs, the liability of other people's decorations, and us handling them. My opinion is I would just rather us put lights on our tree in our building and any seasonal decorations and not have anything else than try and accommodate every group.
Yeah.
You know.
I mean, some of these guidelines in there that I read today about the 2 days before, 2 days after, et cetera, do we know, like, did that happen in the past? Did it actually work? Do we know? Or is
I honestly, I don't know. I can't speak to every year. I do remember I do remember like Facebook comments and some contention, seeing some things like happening at meetings.
Sure.
And, so, I just think the easier thing is if it's our decorations and, I think people can put things in their yards and make the whole community look good by what you do on your own, then and we can just keep it kind of simple, or we can go extravagant with the lights, but it would be all under our control.
Yeah.
I personally like the idea of having a manger there.
Yeah.
I recognize the difficulty that it causes in trying to administer this program.
Well, and to figure out all the different religious holidays, the 2 days before, 2 days after, it's kind of challenging as well.
Yeah.
Anyone else?
Well, I mean, we're gonna have the group that wants it, the group that doesn't want it, and then people in the middle there.
Right. We're not going to make everybody happy.
Exactly. So what's the easiest and best resolution for us?
Mhm.
I won't even say easiest, what's the best resolution for us? So, I agree with Don. I mean, I don't have an issue with the manger, but I understand there's other groups as well.
Mhm.
So how do we accommodate everyone? And I don't know the answer to that, so we just,
I think this also kind of goes back to something that happened last year with the flag display at the Township admin building. It's kind of like, there are people who felt certain ways and wanted to show that in certain, they wanted an outlet for that. And at their home, like you said, having a manger at home is no big deal. You do you, I do me, and I have flags all over my house, but I didn't like it when the Township flew its flag upside down. And this is kind of the same thing. It's not our flag. It's not my flag to say I want to fly it upside down. It's not my front yard to put the manger in there at the Township admin building. It's all of ours. And so, if we can't get, while I'd like to, I am, raised Catholic. There's no doubt about that. That doesn't matter at this board. It doesn't matter here. We do a different thing in this room than we do in our church. So this always makes me a little uneasy, to be honest with you.
So I would just encourage everybody to decorate their homes, and then our township would really look festive. So, all right, thank you guys. And then, so on to the Homer Township. The approval of the Homer Township Highway Department levy. Yeah. Okay. Motion for consideration, is there a motion to approve the 2025 Homer Township Highway Department levy collectible in 2026 for the Road and Bridge Fund and Building and Equipment Fund?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Any discussion? Would you like to say anything, Commissioner Robinson?
No, we kept the levy exactly the same from last year. We had a couple challenges that were for planning that we're working on. First of all, when you look at that number, we only get half of that, because before we even see the money, they take off half of our levy and they give it to Homer Glen and Lockport and New Lenox and Lamont. So, and in the past, we know that they took $180,000 out of the road district fund to give to the civic center. We know that last year's road project was over $400,000, and we only get $40,000 a year in MFT funds, which is motor fuel tax money. So we have to be, it's great that they were lowering the taxes every year, but they may have gone too far. So now we have to work with what we have. We don't want to be the guy that raised the taxes, right? Be hung upside down on the flag, talk about hanging things on the flag. We're kind of looking at some long-range things. We've got some equipment that we need to address. We have a few other things. We're not going to be giving any more money to the Civic Center. So,
I agree.
you know, and we still have to have a reserve, and we still have to be prepared. You know, there could be any number of weather issues. We could have a terrible winter versus an easy winter, and cost of salt has been going steadily up every year. It's almost $100 a ton now. So there's, we have to be prepared, and that's what we're looking for, and what we're looking at, and what we're going to have to plan for, at least for the foreseeable future. So that's where we're at.
Oh, I know, Jen, if anyone can do it, you can do it.
Oh, thank you.
I have a question.
I watched how frugal you can be.
The 180 that was moved from the township, or the road commission to the open space, is that a loan, or is that like?
I'd like it then.
I mean, isn't that supposed to be paid back, like that type of transfer? Okay, all right.
They just did a line item transfer from the road and bridge fund to.
I'm getting confused then with, we could borrow, but it has to be paid back within 12 months.
Right.
Okay. Thank you.
No.
Any questions for Commissioner Robinson?
No, nice going on holding the line, and I agree with what you're saying. Sometimes those cuts can go too far, and, it makes a great headline when you cut taxes, but, government has to go on, roads have to get paid, salt has to get spread and bought, and machines wear out, and personnel goes up, and health insurance goes through the roof, and so, yeah.
Right, well, you saw earlier in the packet where we had to do a line item transfer to IMRF because the gentleman who retired last year, when you retire, the last community that you work for has to make any adjustments, to, however, he may have worked for another community and then came here and maybe they underpaid, and now we have to make the adjustment because we're the last community he worked for. So there's a lot of those little unknowns out there, floating around out there, and those are the kind of things that we have to try to be prepared for.
Well, I don't want to dwell on that, but we can do better with planning ahead for
Why not?
those kinds of occurrences. Okay, I just wanted to say, for the levy affects your taxes. They take a look at all of the equal assessed valuation of the community, and then whatever you levy, they divide that, and that's the rate that they come up with, and that's the rate that's on your tax bill. So how this will affect your taxes, whatever we do, we're asking for the same amount of money. We're not, for the road district, we're not increasing any amount that he's asking for. So, I guess we're ready to call the roll?
Okay, Supervisor Stone?
Aye.
Trustee Gray?
Aye.
Trustee Marson?
Aye.
Trustee Melody?
Aye.
And Trustee Severs?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Okay, moving on to the Homer Township levy. And, well, first I'll have a motion, and then I'll start the discussion. Is there a motion to approve the 2025 Homer Township levy collectible in 2026 for the town fund, general assistance, park fund, and debt service?
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
Okay. And if there's any question about this levy, we have until the fourth Tuesday, which is December 30th, to approve it. So if you have any doubts, questions, what we did with this levy is pretty much, it's the same figure as last year. We moved a couple thousand out of the general assistance levy and added 2,000 to the town fund levy because that fund had been built up. So, does anyone have any questions?
Yeah, I have a question. So, we're levying essentially the same amount of money as we have in the past year. And then we have a breakdown sheet that shows us how that levy is going to be apportioned across all of our funds. Bless you. How, we're approving our levy, maybe the attorney can speak to this. How dialed in are we on the kind of appropriation sheet here, because we haven't done our budget yet, we haven't done our budget homework yet. Bless you. We haven't done any of that, so these are just kind of like placeholder numbers for right now, going off of what we've had in the past, but are we really that tied into this?
That's, yes, the answer to that. You are telling the county this is how much you want you to levy, and then as part of your budget appropriations process, you appropriate the amount, or you budget the amount you think you're gonna spend, and typically you appropriate a little bit more than that in case there's fluctuation during the course of the year. But this will be your levy.
Right, I understand the levy will stay the same, but again, these other breakout sheets that show the difference, the general corporate town fund, the assessor's office, I mean, do we have leeway to move those numbers around?
Very limited.
So if we levy the 291,000 for assessor personnel, let's just say, we can't, if we need to spend more on
Less.
personnel, let's say there's raises, there's something going on, we have to hire, we're going to get 700 new homes, we have to hire another assessor.
This will be the pot of money that you spend on that particular line item. And how you determine how much you're gonna spend will be the budget appropriations.
Right. But we have,
And you have some flexibility there to say, okay, well, we appropriated this much, but we really need X amount. So there is some flexibility in terms of the ability to spend your money. This is gonna be the pot of money that you're gonna have to spend for that particular line item.
and we also have, this is the money we levy, but what we have some carryover
Right.
from a
Right,
previous
the
year.
beginning balances, right?
And so we can move a line item, or we can move some, like if we had some contractual services, we could move money from contractual services to personnel.
Yes.
Yeah. So there's still some flexibility, but,
And this is just the tax money. I mean, I don't know what other sources of income you may have during the course of the year. But this is, yeah, I get that, but this is what you're telling the county to tax the people for these particular line items.
Well, I would say then, given that, I would feel more comfortable if we put this off until December.
okay.
Until I know from my own personal, I'd rather get my head around these numbers, because I obviously, we want to levy the same amount that we've levied already in the past year, because we did come into office saying we won't raise taxes, and we're not going to. So we're going to stick with that number, but these numbers on the other page worry me only because we've bumped up against some things already in the 6 or 7 months we've been in office, where we've had to move things, where we haven't quite understood what went into the numbers we kind of inherited on June 9th, just 2.5 weeks after we took our office. So I'd like to get more comfortable with these numbers and how they play out. It will still add up to what the levy number is, $1.348 million, just so everybody knows what that number is. It is the same as last year, but I'd like to see the rationale behind the way they're appropriated to these different funds. So that's my take on it.
And to Trustee Dre's point, we didn't create the budget for this year, and so we're experiencing how well we're doing with the budgets, and this is going to be our first levy as well. So I can understand that, wanting to take a closer look at the figures, and I'm also in agreement that we're not going to levy more than we have levied, but if we want to make sure that the categories are more reflective of what we will actually do, is park fund levy, right, is, I agree.
So it needs to be filed with the clerk's office that last Tuesday. So I know when your meeting is December, but we should pass it then and get it filed.
Do you have the next meeting date on the agenda? Put that on there. I think it's December 14th or something simple, right? Yeah, so we have time. It's in 3 weeks.
It's December 8th.
Or December 8th. Okay.
Right, because this meeting's a little...
We're later than normal, so we don't
So we
really
got
get much
3
time.
weeks,
So
right.
I think,
So can I make a
we're close.
motion to table this? over the current motion?
Yes,
Yes.
I'd like to make a motion to table.
to the next
To
regular
the next,
meeting.
right, to our December 14th meeting, is that what you said?
December.
December 9th.
December. Or
Eighth.
December meeting.
December 8th. December 8th.
Is there a second?
Yeah, second.
All right, Supervisor Stiles? Aye. Trustee Gray?
Aye.
Trustee Marson?
Aye.
Trustee Melody?
Aye.
And Trustee Severs?
Aye.
Okay, and the next item is just approval of a proclamation, and this one, I'm just kind of going out there and doing this on my own, because the Homer Glen Junior Women's Club is is celebrating their 15th anniversary this month. And they have just, to me, full disclosure, I've been a member for 10 years. And I've just seen them do so much for the community. I was with the village and we had Earth Day Arbor Day. They came through with volunteers. They've come through with volunteers for our veterans events. I think they even did Homer Harvest Day volunteers. They collect for the food pantries. They were instrumental in getting the Scarecrow program started at the village. They donated and raised funds for the gazebo. They used to coordinate, volunteer for the Mike hike that was in the community. They raised money for scholarships. They do library programs. And they teach gardening classes at Victorian Village. And this really, their club is just all about serving the community. That's really their mission. And so I wanted to I just wanted to recognize them this month for their anniversary. If I could have a motion.
I'll make that motion.
That's a second.
You gonna read the proclamation?
Yes.
Would you like help?
Yes. Yes.
Perhaps we could each take a paragraph?
Yes, I was,
Why don't you call the roll?
okay, call the roll first.
Okay.
Thank you.
Supervisor Stiles?
Aye.
Trustee Gray?
Aye.
Trustee Marson?
Aye.
Trustee Melody?
Aye.
And Trustee Severs?
Aye. Okay. How about Melody can start.
Whereas the Homer Glen Junior Women's Club, founded in 2010, continues to provide opportunities for women in education, leadership training, and community service, and continues to be part of one of the oldest and largest non-denominational, nonpartisan service organizations of volunteer women in the state of Illinois. The Homer Glen Junior Women's Club is a proud part of the General Federation of Women's Clubs. The General Federation of Women's Clubs and club women are the heart of not only the Federation, but the communities in which they live and work. By living the volunteer spirit, the General Federation of Women's club women transform lives each day, not simply with monetary donations, but with hands-on, tangible projects that provide immediate impact. With a grassroots approach that often thinks locally but impacts globally, the General Federation of Women's Clubs, its clubs and members remain committed to serving as a force for global good, as it has done since its formation.
Trustee Gray.
Whereas, throughout its 15-year history, the Homer Glen Junior Women's Club members have worked for in their communities to assist in a variety of activities through participation in local clubs, enabling members to make a difference in the lives of others, one project at a time. Such projects include $24,000 to the village of Homer Glen for the gazebo at Heritage Park. The Homer Glen Junior Women's Club's vision is to be recognized as the premier statewide volunteer organization that provides structure and support in pursuit of community service and
Trustee Severs.
Whereas the 60 members of the Homer Glen Junior Women's Club, founded in 2010, follow that mission to Homer Glen Junior Women's Club, a women's organization whose members are dedicated to making our community better and brighter through volunteerism and charitable giving.
Trustee Marson.
So I get the big one. Okay, whereas the Homer Glen Junior Women's Club holds several fundraisers and projects each year to benefit people locally, statewide, and nationally. Some projects include academic scholarships for high school seniors, donating funds and materials to General Federated Women's Club, a parent organization of Homer Glen Junior Women's Club, provide volunteers, items, and donations to Hope and Divine Purpose Transitional Living Home, Inc., Lightways Hospice and Serious Illness Care, Will County Children's Advocacy Center, CASA of Will County, Shady Oaks Camp, the Legacy Ranch, Lockport Fish Food Pantry, St. Coletta's of Illinois Feeding America, Will Grundy Medical Clinic, the Bridge Teen Center Community Fire Companies, public libraries, teachers in conjunction with our favorite teacher project in creating and participating in other club community service projects and events, and therefore
Resolved that the supervisor and township board of the Township of Homer, County of Will, State of Illinois, do hereby reaffirm that their support and congratulate the members of the Homer Glen Junior Women's Club on their 15th anniversary and wish them continued success. Thank you. Updates. Civic Center. We had the open house, and we opened it up to the community, and I think it was very valuable to the people that came and saw it, and we gained support for some actions to take on the Civic Center, and through that, some people stepped forward to help writing grants, some people stepped forward with other ideas. What we have realized, though, is that we need to take a pause on the project and get community support and community information about what the community would like to see. So we're going to put together a community survey. We have a couple people working on that. And also I do have some good news, working with the grant management people for the ARPA grant that was received for the Civic Center. They are still willing to help us fund the septic system and what's required there. We will, in order to do that though, have to go out to bid and meet some other requirements. So that's why this is a good time to pause and see what exactly is that system going to be adequate for what the community wants. And so look for information. I'm hoping the survey will be ideally in December, if not, at least by the beginning of the year. And then I'm happy to also report on insurance. Just when rates are going up all over the place, our employee insurer is only raising their rate 1%. So I've heard much higher everywhere else. And then under new business, flooring for Founders Crossing units. And the reason why I put this on here is typically we replace flooring when somebody moves out of a unit. Because obviously if there's nothing in there, that's the time to replace flooring. And that fits well within our budget. And now we have residents that have lived there for, some of them for 10, 20 years, almost 20 years, and they haven't had their flooring replaced. And before I proceed to do that, that can kind of be perceived as a major project. And so how do we limit that? Do we just go ahead and do it? And the other problem with that is if they are currently living in the unit, how do you do that? Because you got to move the furniture out of one room into another or into a garage or whatever, and then who moves the furniture? Do we hire a mover? If we hire a mover, then that adds to the cost. Do we use our staff? And I just want to get some input from you guys. I haven't had much time to think about it. That's why I put this on the agenda.
I mean, I would default to using our staff, but I think depending on who we use to do flooring, typically there might be a slightly added fee to do that, moving the furniture and such, but it's typically included or.
We've been using our staff to install the flooring though.
Oh,
Yeah, so that's kind of,
got it.
I guess I had this question for the attorney. You know, if it's, you know, it's under $5,000 per unit, but if you start doing it for several units in a year, does that matter with like how we
So it's
proceed
the
with
cost of
this?
the project as a
Yeah,
whole.
so we have to plan how many
Correct.
we're going to do, and then I have to present it to the board for approval.
Mhm.
Okay, that's
And
kind
again,
of,
Ken, getting back to budgeting, you know, putting something like this in, we want to make sure we're capturing those numbers as we put together those budget, those appropriation lines for the levy.
so the good news about that is the rentals, the rents will be covering this expense. It won't be coming from taxes that are levied. So, but I just want to get your thoughts on,
Well,
like a policy or procedure.
I mean, here's the issue, if someone's still living in there
Mhm.
and we have our workers move the equipment and they break something, or they break the furniture, or
We'll
they
see
get,
that's a
I
thing,
mean,
yeah.
you know, are we gonna be responsible for replacing something that's broken or
Yes.
something, you know?
Yes.
I think that's the issue, or if they get hurt moving something,
Mhm.
that would be, you know, my concern. And I don't know how we get around that with someone.
I don't see how we can have senior living and expect the seniors to move their own
Exactly.
furniture. That goes against what you're trying to do there. So to me, it's like, we're charging these people a fee to live there, they pay rent, they're entitled to betterment of the community over time, you know, which is fair. And to me, it should just be a cost borne by the community. It's unfortunate, but it's the business we're in. We're in the senior housing business, and we can certainly make a program where all of these units have an attached garage. So, you know, make it incumbent upon the tenant to clear a space in the garage, have movers come there one day to move, you know, the primary furniture into the garage to allow the flooring people to get out or get in and get their work done, and then put it all back. I mean, you know, most people are aware enough that if I'm going to have people in my house, to Ken's point, you know, what if our guys break something? Well, if our guys are in there changing the furnace filter and they break something, we're still liable. So we're always liable, basically. I mean, we can put that onto a moving company if we hire them. You know, unfortunately, those accidents do happen. That's generally part of the contract when you do hire a mover, though, if they break
But
something.
they would be responsible for it instead of us being, if we hired movers.
Correct.
But then I
They'd be
know-
responsible under their insurance
Right.
rider, plus they're responsible if
Right,
they
but
get
then
one of those guys
we're
get
gonna
hurt.
pay more instead of, you know, our staff moving the furniture.
Yeah, but again, what if one of our staff members gets hurt, like you said, you know?
But, you know.
We have limited staff, God knows what's hard enough to get
Are
that.
the seniors who live there gonna be comfortable with a moving company coming in to move their,
Well,
furniture
nobody has to
around,
sign up for it. I mean, somebody could say, if let's say as a board, we decide that, you know what, if Supervisor Stiles says it's $5,000 a unit, well, we already know there's, I think, 28 units there, is that correct? 28 or 30? 30 units that have, and let's say 10 of them are already done, because we know that they've been doing some of them over the time, right? So there's 20 units left to do. Can we do 5 a year? Can we budget $25,000 toward this? That's including the flooring, the laying of the flooring, and the moving of the furniture in and out of the unit for the resident. And if we decide that there's going to be 5 a year, or 4 a year for 5 years, however we want to do that, whatever we feel comfortable with in the budgeting, we can reach out to the oldest members, not oldest members, the members who've been there the longest and haven't had that service done yet. And if they decline, then we move on. I mean, some of you, like I said, might want that. Because it's also going to be, Supervisor Stylen mentioned this to me before, it's not going to be whatever flooring you want. We're going to get a consistent flooring in all of these units, so it's going to be the vinyl tank kind of tile that's going on down nowadays. Some of these units still have carpeting. Maybe a resident wants to keep their carpet. Maybe they're more comfortable with that. Maybe they can decline, and then upon when they move out, you know, then we can get that back on the list. So.
is the whole apartment, is it half carpeting, half?
Well, some of them had some flooring replaced and some still have, they have half carpeting and half flooring done. So we would like to finish those units first so that we don't want any more carpeting in the units.
So So they'll move the carpeting and replace it with the linen.
Because, you know, they're using walkers and things getting
Right,
around
right.
and it just beats up the carpeting and
It's hard to negotiate.
so, right. So that would be the plan. So for the next meeting, I think what I need to do is probably come up with some numbers and what it would be for so many units, and then we decide so many units per year. And we're getting quotes right now for movers, and we can make that decision still. So you guys can think about it for the next month.
3 weeks.
Hmm?
3 weeks.
3 weeks, yeah. So you get 2 weeks to think. and then we'll decide at the next meeting. So that's why that's under new business. So I'll think about all those things. And then just to the point about the maintenance that was brought up under public comment, I believe we have a list of checks that they're supposed to do for fall maintenance. And I will check into that and find out what happened with like the stove filter or the dryer vent things, and see where we've fallen short. I know that we got started later on the fall maintenance than that. I mean, the grass was growing a little bit longer with the warmer weather, but either way, this is the time that they're supposed to be doing all of that.
They didn't even check the fire alarm.
That they were supposed to do. They're supposed to be checking all of the data. Actually, what we did with the fire alarms is we're just replacing all the batteries at the same time. Because what happens is your smoke detector, or you said check the fire alarms, but I was thinking smoke detector.
Smoke detector.
Like the smoke detector goes off in the living room, and that one's okay, but then on the weekend the one goes off in the bedroom, and you can't sleep, because I think there's 5 smoke detectors in each unit, so they should be replacing them all at the same time. But I will check on that. So for our next meeting, so I'm going to add the flooring back to the agenda. And then we're going to have a Trantina Farm Park resolution, and we'll bring the loss control policy and have it, I said we break out for this meeting. Is there anything that anybody feels that they need to see on the next agenda? It's only 3
The
weeks
levy's
away.
gonna be there.
Huh?
The levy.
And the levy, yeah, thank you. I won't forget that. And the levy will have to be on there. And then in between time, I just want to express to the trustees to stop in my office sometime, and then we can just go over each of these items. And so if there's anything that needs to be hashed out before the next meeting, especially pertaining to the levy, I'd like to do that. So next roll call to enter closed session. I don't have it this month, but I anticipate maybe some personnel things going on for the next, for December, so plan on that meeting. And then I'll ask for us adjourn. Anybody else has anything?
No, I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I will second.
Now I can say all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Let's see the